It's warming up. Okay, I believe that we are live. I believe that we're feeding out to the folks. The first thing I want to do here is remind everyone to go to hankstrange.com. All right, the most important thing for you to do. That is the one entity that we have ownership over, and you can find all the different ways you could support us. You can find links on there, everything that you're looking for, things that we talk about. It's all on hankstrange.com. If you want to communicate with me, everything is on there, so go there. Also, check out US Law Shield. We've got a link on there. I put a link here in the chat. If you guys sign up for a year, you could save some money, and then also a couple of bucks can come to us. Helps us to keep doing this, pay the bills around here. So we appreciate everyone for that. Big shout out to Franklin Armory. You guys can see them right there for sponsoring the podcast. They've been doing that for a long time, and we really, really do appreciate those guys. This, by the way, this is going to be a celebration tonight. For a couple of different reasons. I have some cool folks that are coming on, but also it's episode, excuse me, I don't know what episode is. Episode 800. 800. So we're getting into episode 800 right now. Everyone, hold on to your seats. We're about to do this. I'm loading everyone up in here. Smashing the open. Let's go.
Welcome back to the Hank Strange
All right,
Situation.
guys, make sure you
Lifestyle
smash that
of
subscribe button,
Lola.
smash the thumbs ups, ring the bell so you can be notified when we go live. I even have my own bell over here, ringing the bell. And we are live. We've got two new guests. We've got my friend Patrick Collins as well as Rick Ector. We do this thing called jazz hands. Everyone has to do it. Come on, let me see those. You got to do those jazz hands until the people are happy. There we go. Rick Ector is doing jazz hands. Patrick Collins is doing jazz hands. All right. We are live. I hope you guys have your big girl panties on. Like I said, this is episode 800 of the Who Moved My Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Hank Strange. My guests are Rick Ector. Here he goes. Detroit 2A advocate and instructor, Rick Ector. Welcome to the show, the man, the myth, the legend. He's joining us here. Thanks so much for coming on the show, man.
Hey man, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I know we had talked about it briefly at the
that Florida event.
Florida event. That was back in March, was it not? So
yeah,
man. I've
March.
been waiting my turn, man.
Yeah, okay. That's a long time ago. We've been doing this show for a long time. We should have had you on a long time ago. I've been doing this for about 8 years. How long have you been on in the whole gun community doing all this stuff?
Ooh,
It's
man.
longer than 8 years. I know that.
No, yeah, definitely longer than that.
Yeah.
It was 2005 when I had my encounter with a couple of guys who robbed me at gunpoint in my backyard. And yeah, man, I've been in this gun rights ownership advocacy thing since about 2005, 2006.
Okay, OG. Sir Rick Ector, we should say from now on. Dr. Sir Rick Ector is on the show, hanging out with us. Also joining us is someone who's been a friend of mine for a long time and always supported me here in what I'm doing. Like going way back, Patrick, right? Way back, Patrick. One of the first people to support me. Patrick Collins, joining us from the back seat of what I'm going to guess is like a Toyota 4Runner or something. I'm going to say.
Oh, I stayed domestic, man. This is a Chevy.
It's a Chevy. Oh, okay. I'm just guessing because of the window back there. That looks like one of the... Is that a power window that goes side to side? There you go.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
Chevy.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Do we get to know what kind of Chevy? Is it a Silverado? Or,
it is a Silverado.
Chevy? Okay. Boom. There you go. Awesome. All right. I'm into cars.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. I'm assuming Rick is into cars too because he's from Detroit. So.
Oh, yeah, most definitely, man. I'm definitely into cars, man.
All right, awesome. So we got a lot of things to get into. I do want to remind everyone out there to smash the thumbs ups. Okay, that's really, really important. Share this if you can. We're being like severely shadow banned by YouTube and all the powers that be. So I would really like everyone to do that. The first big shout out I want to do, because someone gave us a super chat here, which is ridiculously amazing. So I'm gonna do that.
Money.
That's my friend Gorillas and Guns there. This super chat is from Real Cujo, and he gave us $50, which that's awesome.
Oh, awesome.
Yes, thank you so much, Real Cujo. He says, I just wanted to say congratulations on 800 episodes. You and everyone that make this show have sacrificed a lot. I want to personally thank you. Oh, I'm still waiting on Babyface's augmentation that I put $20 on. Remember, Patrick's breast implant. That's not for you, Patrick. That's for Babyface. This goes kind of way back. We were trying to get money to get him implants. It didn't work out. Yeah, it didn't really work out. Even if we would have gotten the money, I don't think he would have done it, but it didn't work out. So, big thanks.
Like I'm walking into a
trouble
production at the opera at the intermission. I'm trying to figure out what happened right before.
Just take a deep breath and go with it. That's my that's the best advice I could give to you. Let me see. What? My camera is not focusing on me. Here we go. Come on, focus in. Okay, not focusing. All right, let's see here if we can get it. There we go. All right, yes. So it's we get a little crazy here, Rick. If you haven't seen this before, we do get a little crazy. Before I move on from that, I really do want to thank Real Cujo as well. That's one of those guys that's been supporting me from the beginning of this, and I really appreciate all the stuff that he does. Not just giving us money. Also, he's always looking, like everything that we put up on all 3 channels, Real Cujo is there, commenting and sharing things all the time. We talk to each other from time to time and keep up with each other. So I really appreciate him as well as everyone else that does that. Anyone that needs a shout out on the show, please let us know. If you guys have questions for Rick Ector or Patrick Collins, let me know. We'll definitely get into that and we will address all of those questions. I see there's stuff coming up in the news as well that some folks want to talk about, so we'll get into all of that if you guys want to. But I do really want to thank everyone that tunes into the show every night. So 800 episodes for 2 hours, that's like 1,600 hours of shows going live, and then we take the audio out of that and it goes up also on iTunes and lots of other things that you can listen to. That's a lot of hours, so there's a lot of folks out there that are in the chat right now that are always here in the chat, hanging out, listening, talking, sharing stuff. I see like other than Real Cujo, I see Chris Bolus, I see LV Lewis Cypher, let's see who else we got. I think I said Armament and Axes, of course. If I did it, I just said it again. So if anyone wants a shout out, Jade Grew is out there. Shout out to Jade Grew, CB. I'm throwing everyone in here up on the screen. James Miller also out there. 42 Chilled said Rick Ector doing good in Detroit. Thank you. We're gonna talk about Detroit. I'm gonna find out if he knows Eminem. That was gonna be my first. It's gonna be my first question. And Chris Bullis says I didn't know Hank knew Morgan Freeman. No.
Whoa, wait.
I think Rick is better looking than Morgan. Yo, you take it? Oh, okay.
I'll take that.
Yeah. Appalachian Gun Runner is out there as well. If you guys will give me a second here, I'm just giving a shout out to the folks. The Juice is out there. He says Chevy like a rock. That's from the Juice. Ray Bozzolo is also out there. He says be American, buy American, just not GM. Yeah, I know that's just gonna start a thing, right? Everyone's gonna.
Oh yeah.
I'm not. Are you guys brand specific? Like I'm in a Ford right now, but I like all cars. You guys brand specific at all?
Well, I don't really have a specific model make that I'm partial to. However, I had a background in the auto industry. I used to work as a manufacturing supervisor over at Jefferson North Assembly Plant here in Detroit years ago, and I did that for a number of years. So I'm very familiar with the car building process, man, and that was a very interesting era of my life.
What car? What were they building there? Was that Fords?
The Jeep Grand Cherokee?
Ah, the Grand Cherokees. Okay, yeah, those are badass. I've never owned a Grand Cherokee, but I've always wanted to. You know. Those are,
man, let me tell you, just head on out and get you one.
Yeah. Now they've got some really nice ones now. You can. I think there's one. Isn't there a Grand Cherokee with a Hellcat motor in it? I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
The Trailhawk. Is it Trailhawk?
Trackhawk. I think it's
Trackhawk.
Yeah, I think the Trackhawk. Yeah. that's got the I think that's got the 6.4 liter, and then it has the big supercharger and everything in it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and it's all-wheel drive. You know, I don't know. That's important to me. I like the all-wheel drive. You know, if anyone's into that. So there you go. And Chris Bullis says, "Wow, Hank, you wasted a bunch of my time. Laugh out loud." Yes, we have burnt a lot of brain cells of human beings over the years. Yeah. So, all right. Listen, let me do this. Let's start with, if you don't mind, Rick. Let's start with Patrick, right? Because I think a lot of people do know what you've done. So I'm going to get into that here. But folks may not know what Patrick is doing and what he's up to. I did see you guys last here at Florida Carry, as you mentioned, and Patrick does a lot of stuff in here in the gun community. But why don't you introduce yourself to the folks out there and tell them like who you are, what you do, how you got into this whole thing?
All right. Well, my name is Patrick Collins. I've been an instructor for about 8 years now. And that's how I got into it. Actually, I actually got into it through competition, doing a competitive shooter through USPSA and IDPA and a few local leagues that we have here. I'm in the state of Georgia. You know, I'm always up for a good challenge. And so I started doing that, and folks were like, "You have a lot of patience. You should teach." So I said, "Sure, I'll try it, give it a shot." You know, and you know, people were coming up to me, "Hey, can you teach me? You really did good." You know, okay. That snowballed, and along my path, I met Rick Ector, and I bet you Rick will tell you the story about how we met. It's rather quite interesting because I believe I met both you guys the same year.
Really?
No, you tell the story, man.
Yeah, you tell it, because we couldn't get Rick on here. We had to get you to get Rick on here. So,
so I was at my first NRA convention. I literally went there by myself. Okay, and for any of those viewers that have not been to an NRA convention and or not attended any type of convention by yourself, it's mind-boggling. I mean, you run into people that you've watched for years on YouTube. You run into like political figures as well that you see on TV or on C-SPAN or CNN or whatever. And so I'm just there by myself trying to soak everything in. And I go across the street. I see Jerry Mikulik from, you know, world-renowned guy, family.
Which one was this? Which do you remember?
I think it was in Tennessee somewhere. It was maybe, I forget where it was at, but I think it was Tennessee. And so I go to cross a street, and another very similar hand reaches down and presses the crosswalk button. And I look at him. I'm like, "Hey, man, how you doing?" And Rick, for those of you guys that don't know Rick is a character. Like Rick is gonna overtop you. He was just like, "What are you doing?" And so basically, you know, we're just like, "Oh, I'm an instructor. I'm here. This is my I'm here at the NRA convention." Me too. And it wound up snowballing into a friendship, and I still have the card, the business card that he gave me at the lights, at the crosswalk. I still have that. And so this was probably about, I want to say maybe 7 years ago. What are we, 2011?
Was it 14 or 15? Because LV Louis Cypher says that was in Nashville, if he's not mistaken. I'm sure.
Yeah, I think it was in Nashville.
It may have been in Nashville. Yeah,
it sounds like Nashville.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I've been in contact with Rick, and I did meet you at that show too. You had an AK shaved into the side of your head. I met you with Tim from Military Arms channel. That's, Yep.
Yeah,
and I was just like, wait a second.
Today is his birthday, by the way. Happy birthday to Tim from Military Arms channel. Everyone should go tell him happy birthday on his social media. It's his birthday today. So nice. Yeah. So okay.
Yeah. And so I met everybody and anybody who I followed, anybody and everybody, and Rick was like, "You should come up to Detroit and teach at my event." And I'm like, "Oh man, this guy I just met on the street."
Go to Detroit, yeah. Yeah,
Oh
he's
yeah,
inviting
I mean,
everybody to Detroit. People try to get out of Detroit, and he's inviting everyone into Detroit.
Well, you know what?
exactly.
Hey, you're officially invited to come, man. I'm actually expecting you to come.
Oh
I
no.
wasn't going to whip that on you until I have my piece of this show, but no,
Oh, you're gonna
formally
have to
putting
talk
it
to my
out there.
scheduler, aka Lola.
We can get her to come with you. You can do the show there.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think I've ever been in Detroit before. I don't think so. Have I?
So I'm taking that as a yes then.
Uh, at some point is what I'm gonna say right now. At some point.
That
We'll work.
doesn't sound like
We'll
that
work on the
doesn't sound like
details.
next month, man.
When do you do your show? When is the big so let's actually do this. Let's have you now, Rick Ector, tell the folks out there who don't know who you are and what you're doing, what it is you do. You have this thing in Detroit called LAID. So yes, everyone could start figuring out what that is, right? Yeah.
Well, that
Figure out
is
what this
the
you're trying to
name
get people
of my
laid in
gun
Detroit.
rights advocacy site, which is
Huh.
legally armed in Detroit. And yeah, I
I was
tend
I was
to
I was trying to play that out as
I
long as I
tend
possibly
I
could.
tend to get a lot of interesting reactions when I tell them, yeah, I run laid in Detroit, right? I
Right.
want you to get laid, legally armed in Detroit. And yeah,
Mhm.
before anybody tries to steal that domain, I've owned it for like the last 10 years and counting.
I'm
And
telling you.
it's on auto renew, so no, you won't be able to get it.
Mhm.
But 10 years ago, I was watching my local news broadcast and I saw a very disturbing story about how a woman's body was assaulted, how she was killed, and her body was just laid out in the street, as if
Mhm.
she was trash. And I thought,
Mhm.
someone should do something about that. And, I thought about it, and eventually the idea hit me was that I could do something. And so I contacted four other firearms instructors and I said, hey, look, let's get together and let's post up at a local gun range and I'll fund everything. I'll see how many women that I can get through social media to come to the gun range and I'll take care of everything from range time, providing a gun, ammunition, and I need you guys to help me make sure that we train these women properly and safely.
Mhm.
And I use my social media, exposure, at the time, what was this, like 10 years ago, and
Mhm.
you know, I got 50 women to show up, right? And so
Mhm.
when I mentioned that to our mutual friend Kim Blanchard, when I
Mhm.
was
Shout out to
saw him
Ken.
at the South Ken, and I was
Mhm.
telling him, man, I only got 50 people to show up, right? And I'm bummed out. I'm thinking, okay,
Only.
free, right?
Yeah.
Free. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
free, man, right? You
Mhm.
tell
Mhm.
people something's free, you expect them to come because it's
Mhm.
free, right?
Mhm.
And he was like, oh man, no, 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 that's great. That's great. He was like, keep going. See how far you can do this thing.
Mhm.
And so I kept doing it, and every year growing. And lo and behold, last year, my current high water mark over a 2-day weekend, we did 1,938 women in 2 days at two different gun ranges, one day on Saturday and one day on Sunday.
Mhm.
And we did that during the height of the pandemic when everybody was told to stay home and all these other
Mhm.
concerns. Yeah, that was a concern, but I did my homework and research, and we exercised an abundance of caution.
Mhm.
And not a single person that I know of came down with COVID. But
Mhm.
so undaunted this year, now that we're through this whole shutdown phase, hopefully, I'm looking to double what we did last year. So my goal is to train 4,000 women across 2 days at two different gun ranges simultaneously, over at the Top Gun range and over at the Recoil range in Taylor. We're going to do it simultaneously, both on Saturday and both on Sunday. It is a huge project. It requires a ton of resources. Fortunately for me, I've been able to make some partnerships with a lot of different people who've been able to contribute, whether we're talking about the facilities, we're talking about the actual guns that are going to be shot, the ammunition, and whether we need 4,000 pairs of safety glasses, 4,000 pairs of earplugs, And I tell you, the piece that I'm working on now is making sure I have enough actual manpower on hand, because I'm talking about doing two different locations simultaneously. So I need instructors to teach the women who are going to show up. We're going to teach them one on one in a safe environment, and to make
I'm
sure
showing
that
the
they
.com
have
right now as you're
everything they
speaking.
need.
Yeah, I'm showing off the .com right now as you're speaking. When is that event gonna actually take place, or roughly when is it gonna take place?
It's going to be this upcoming August 21st, 22nd,
Okay.
both on Saturday, both on Sunday. One
Mhm.
thing that I do want to caution people who are listening in,
Mhm.
you're going to need to register for the event. The links will be published all
Mhm.
over social media properties that I have. I always direct people over to my Rick's Firearm Academy Detroit page over on Facebook, which is facebook.com/Michigan CCW.
Mhm.
Whether you find me using my standard handle of Detroit CCW, you can usually find me. Whether it's my own YouTube channel, I got over 2,200 videos out there. Whether I'm on Instagram, Twitter, we talked about YouTube, Facebook, you name it. If it's a popular social media site, I usually have a site out there, and I do a good job of making people aware of what we're doing. But yeah, right now I'm in full all out promotion mode, because the thing is, I was sharing with you before we got started, no matter how big this event gets, I
Mhm.
always come across someone that tells me, wow, if only I had known about it, and I'm like, well, hey, this is the 10th year we've done it.
Right.
And I'm doing everything I can to get the word out more.
Yeah.
And
So.
fortunately for
Mhm.
me, I've been able to meet people such as you, Hank, and you have
Yeah.
a social media presence, man. I am truly awed by your productivity. I can't imagine doing a show with the frequency that you do. I don't know if you taking rooster pills or
I'm
what,
just
man. What
falling
what's the
through
source?
it. I'm just falling through it, man. There's
What's
no
the source of your
there's no,
stamina and endurance, man?
there's no kind of organization. I'm just falling through it. And by the way, shout out to
Man, I'm
Smash
seeing
Time out
all
there.
that gray. I'm seeing all
Yeah,
that gray, man. I
I'm
know
getting
you're
old.
not a young fella, but
No,
hey,
no.
man, what's the source of
I'm a
your stamina?
I'm an old man. I just keep going. It's I'm just motivated to do this. And what I was gonna say to you is that we all play different parts. I think you were asking about that, and I was saying to you that it's very difficult to do what you're doing, to organize an event like that, to have 2,000 people, two different places, for example. At the same time, getting training, keep everyone safe, keep the instructions going, all the things that wrap into that. It's very difficult. So I think what folks like myself should be doing is helping you promote this, and I'm absolutely 100% open to helping you. I'm guessing that's why we're doing this now, and whatever else we can do to help promote this, we'll be happy to do. And there's folks out there that are part of our network, people that we deal with, I think, that can help you out as well. And this is really what we should all be doing. When someone like yourself has taken the last 10 years out of his life to bring something like this to Detroit, which I think is it's amazing, right? And
The
you're
one
absolutely
thing
correct. Huh? Go ahead.
The one thing that I would definitely like to explore people
Hmm.
doing is something that my good friend Patrick over here is going to
Go ahead.
do.
Okay.
He's actually going to bring himself to Detroit
Okay.
again. He showed up last year and lended his talents and expertise to help us train almost 2,000 women. And my
Awesome.
good buddy Patrick is going to be back again to help me do 4,000 women.
So
So
how do people? How do people?
if there's anyone that wants to help,
Yeah.
the help I need that I'm focusing on now is if you have some credentials, some teaching ability that's been documented, whether it's through the NRA or whether it's USCCA or through your particular state. I invite you, I implore you to visit Detroit. Come on down. We'll have a lot of fun. And I'll tell you, it could very easily single handedly be the most rewarding thing that you will ever do to empower 4,000, hopefully 4,000 plus women on the very basic fundamentals of firearm safety and how to discharge a gun at a target, man. It is the thing that drives me, you know, and I this is my project, my baby. I've been doing it for 10 years, man. And how far I can take this thing, the sky's the limit, but I'm committed to seeing how far I can go with it.
Okay, so what you need right now is instructors. That's what you're saying?
Oh yeah, right now, more
Okay.
than anything, I need instructors. I need people who are like, hey, I'm sitting around, I'm not doing anything that weekend,
Yeah.
August 21st, August
Right.
22nd.
Yeah.
I'd love to come to Detroit. I haven't been there, and it's Detroit.
So what
It's
do
not
they do?
Detroit. It's
Wait.
Detroit.
Wait, hold on a second. What is Detroit?
It's Detroit, not
Detroit.
Detroit, man. Nothing is more irritating to us Detroiters than people that go Detroit. No, it's not Detroit. It's Detroit.
Did I say Detroit or Detroit? Which one did I say? I don't know. I'll probably say both. It's it's my accent.
No, man, you can't say both. No.
You say Detroit, I'll say Detroit.
Man, you know
you
what?
say
Yep.
potato,
You know
I'll say potato. Tomato, tomato.
Until you eventually come here, you can practice that in the mirror a million times until you pronounce it correctly.
I'm in Detroit, son. I'm in Detroit.
I'm focusing on manpower. Manpower.
Mm-hmm.
And short of manpower, if you absolutely, positively cannot make it, I would say, hey, send some funds, help us, make sure that we have all the materials and things that we need. I do stuff such as actually feed the volunteers. I'm not feeding them a 5-course meal out of the steakhouse, but I mean just something to provide them with nourishment and snacks and drinks and water.
Can
and
we
stuff
send
throughout
food?
the day. If you can find a way to get it to us in an edible fashion, send it to us.
Yeah. So
I want it already cooked. I don't want you steering in cattle and chickens.
Oh.
I want it actually cooked and
someone
prepared,
will send
right?
a cow. Someone will send a cow out there.
I need a cow that has already been cut, butchered, and battered and fried, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, listen. First of all, I'm going to encourage everyone to smash the thumbs ups. If everyone in here smashes the thumbs ups right now, that would be awesome. So, including you guys. LV Louis Cypher says, what instructor creds are required? So, what did Patrick have to have? How to... What's the requirements here?
Well, to be an instructor, I mean, be credentialed by some official body. I mean, not just some group that you created, in your family room. I mean, if you're a National Rifle Association credentialed firearms instructor, USCCA firearms instructor. If there's some state level organizations in your state that credentials people, then I want you to be a professional credentialed firearms instructor. I don't want you to be some guy that says, oh man, it's going to be 4,000 women. Hey, I'll help you. No. I want someone that's professional and credentialed and that has a proven track record of safely introducing people to shooting.
Okay, all right. Patrick, did you want to add to that? And what credentials do you have?
So I'm an NRA certified instructor. I also teach at a private company here in Georgia, which also does our own level of instructing, which goes far and beyond. As we know, NRA is the basic pistol safety. It's pretty basic, pretty simple. But I also teach, assist with police officers in post-certification. So that's a little more advanced than just your simple, just don't shoot yourself instructor.
Okay. All right.
But what I do want to add, though, is that we really need as many hands on deck as possible. When we get to the range and you see the line of people, and I don't know if you're going to pull up a line from previous events, but this line is just ridiculously long. If you've never seen 500 to 600 women lined up,
I mean,
going down the street
in my heyday, I used to roll like that. Where would I send me?
We have Will Chamberlain hosting the show today.
Yeah, exactly. What I mean?
Yeah.
I was a beautiful young man back in the days. Can someone send me a link, Patrick, to show of like from the last year or whatever it is. So people just need to get in touch, go through the website that I showed. How are they doing this? How are the instructors doing this? And then I'm assuming you're also looking maybe for some safety folks out there too, or some people to
Yeah,
play
range
range
safety
safety?
officers, credentialed firearms trainers.
Hmm.
Make contact with me over at my Facebook page, which is
Facebook.
facebook.com Detroit/Detroit CCW, Rick Ector. That will get you, the keys to the kingdom. It'll direct you to Rick's Firearm Academy Detroit
Okay, so
page. You'll
it's
come
not
across
legally
the event.
it's not legally armed in Detroit. It's a different Facebook.
That's my blog. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure I have some information out on the blog. I'm just trying to
Hmm.
direct people there the most expeditious way. I mean, with
Okay.
all the web properties and like
Yeah.
YouTube stuff that I have out there, there's
Okay.
more than a million different ways to find me. I'm just trying to get you there the quickest and most efficiently.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead, Patrick. If you guys send me something specific to share, I will throw that up there and share it with the folks. And right now, Lola sent me some pictures. This is Lola and
Hey,
Rick at the
I know
event.
that handsome guy there.
There you go. And there's me in the background, blurred, by the way. That's me in the
You know,
background, but yeah. I see. That's how everyone gets
yep.
down. Oh, and I'm actually that's Eric right there from GOA
Yep.
that I'm talking
Everyone
about.
see
GOA.
that logo on that sweatshirt? Focus on that logo on the
Oh, there we
sweatshirt
go. There
I'm
we
wearing.
go.
Yeah. I'll be
Oh,
at the event selling sweatshirts and t-shirts with this logo. With the women, it being a women's event, pink, I'll be selling like a ton of pink
okay.
t-shirts with that
All right.
logo on it. Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. And let me see. There's another one. Oh, here's Patrick right here. Boom. Let's see if we can get this up. There you go. With a bag of bullets.
Yeah, I don't know if your viewers understand how much goes involved with
Uh-huh.
teaching this many people at once. I mean,
Mhm.
it is. I mean, hell, a class for a normal instructor is maybe 5 to 10, and even
Mhm.
that's a big class for a single person. 4,000, that's a whole different ball game. I mean, you have to have a well-oiled machine, sources of ammunition, Air Pro.
Mhm.
There's a whole bunch of stuff that you need to have lined up, and Rick just seems to make it happen.
Yeah,
I
4,000
mean,
women. How much ammo? What kind of ammo? Someone was asking. I see
they're
here
going
in
they're
the
going to
chat.
shoot
Someone
they're
was
going to
asking what
shoot
kind of
20
guns.
rounds each.
Hmm.
So obviously that's going to be 80,000 rounds of ammo, and I'm not sure what particular part of the country the questioner is from,
Hmm.
but anywhere it's usually been kind of hard to come by, and
Hmm.
I have been fortunate that I've been in the gun industry, the gun training realm for a number of years, and I've made a lot of friends, and I have access to resources who buy into what we're doing.
Hmm.
Justin Kazaroff over he has
Phoenix.
his own Phoenix Ammo. He has his own ammunition manufacturing company.
Hmm.
He came through with a huge donation. As a matter of fact, he gave me half the ammo,
Oh,
40,000 rounds of 9mm. And I
cool.
think the question you mentioned was why 9mm, right?
No, I mean, I think people wanted to know if they were going to be shooting handguns and rifles. Is everything going to be
No,
nine? Okay.
it's going to be a streamlined process. We're just
Hmm.
shooting handguns.
Okay.
9mm is going to be the caliber of choice. Usually I'll get someone that says, "Well, hey, why are you shooting 9mm?" Everyone knows you should shoot. A beginner should shoot, a 22 LR. Well, you know what? I don't see any reason why a properly trained individual can't shoot 9mm. Plus,
Yeah.
from a functional standpoint,
Yeah.
Hmm.
standardization is the thing that helps this thing run. So I standardized the caliber to be
Hmm.
9mm. You're going to be one-on-one with the trainer
Hmm.
after you've had a range safety briefing. He's going to literally be a whisper away.
Hmm.
Safety is the number one concern, and we haven't had any incidents to date due to one having trained firearms trainer and making sure that we have our own range safety briefing with just the instructors before we even start the day of lining people up to get in line to be filtered into the shooting lanes and to get them to start shooting.
Hmm.
Safety is the number one concern. There's a
Hmm.
training session for the instructors who should already be credentialed and experienced, and then we run each individual woman participant through a range safety briefing before they get into a booth one-on-one with the firearms trainer. So,
Yeah. Uh,
it's a great process, and it works.
okay. LV Louis Cipher wants to know what firearms are being provided to the students? Do they provide their own?
If a student has a 9mm firearm and they want to bring it, and with the record number of firearm sales that we've had in the country just over the last 6 months to a year, or if you want to even go back 2 years, there's an awful lot of people who, if they're fortunate enough to find a gun and buy it, they haven't been able to shoot it yet. And so this is a great opportunity to actually learn how to shoot your 9mm firearm. Now, if you don't have a 9mm firearm, guess what? I'm going to provide access to a firearm, 9mm, that you're going to shoot at the actual range. So if you have your own gun, great. If not, we'll provide a 9mm for you. Well, gee, Rick, what 9mm are you going to have them shoot? Is there a Rick sanctioned model 9mm gun that you're going to push? Hey, like I said, this thing is ran by donations. The gun range that we're going to use over in Taylor, they're actually going to furnish the guns that we're actually going to use. And a guy who actually is in the gun industry, he's going to supply the guns from his firm for us to use at the other location. So it's basically an all hands on deck, whatever I can get my hands on. If there's some ammunition manufacturer out there, like Glock or somebody like that wants to come in and bring in their guns with their fancy logos and have the women shoot with those guns, I am open. Contact me and we'll make that happen.
Okay, so you're still open for companies to donate things and do things for the event, right? Do you want
Absolutely.
Do you want to shout out any companies that are already doing stuff, or do you want to shout out anyone? I know obviously we've got Patrick here, and he's doing something to help you out.
I mean, on the one hand, I want to, but on the other hand, man, I really don't, because once I start shouting out people, guess what inevitably happens?
You miss someone. Someone gets mad.
Oh, man. And you know what? And don't let that be a person that's providing an essential part of your mission, man. That is a bad situation to be in.
Right. People get
Do
butt hurt.
understand this. Every year when I conduct this event, I usually do a recap. I usually produce an article that's of several pages in length, and I usually get Ammo Land and some of the other places in the gun rights communities to publish this, and I do a full accounting of everyone that was involved, and I give them their just credit, and I publicly thank them in some public fashion and public format to let them know that we appreciate them being a part of this project for the last several years.
Okay. So here we've got go ahead, Patrick.
I was gonna say I do know one person that I'd like to shout out, and that's Gun Owners of America. Their contributions in particular, as well as Phoenix Ammunition. Don't get me wrong, and Rick, I know you don't want to start calling out people, so I'm not gonna let you call them out. I'll call them out, but
yeah, we'll blame it all on Patrick because he missed someone.
Yeah. And if I knew the guy who donated the guns in the previous years, I would call him out too. But it really, to make this happen, it's a collective events, sequence of events that needs to happen. And when you dive down to it, I remember last year I saw Rick right the day before the event, and he's still crunching numbers and making sure things are going right, making sure that he's taking on phone calls, he's on an interview here, and then it takes a lot. It really does.
I'm sure this is a kind of year-round kind of thing, right? Are you only doing this once a year or several times in the year?
I do this once a year, man, and just to do it once a year, it's a full-time project in which you're lining up volunteers and resources, man. When you consider just the sheer amount of ammunition that I needed, 80,000 rounds to make this thing even viable. I even had a lot of people in the firearm and ammunition industry. They asked me and say, "Well, gee, how many rounds do you need?" I said, 80,000.
Yeah.
And I had a couple. They say, "Wow, man, good luck with that." And I'm like,
"Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
I'll talk to you later."
How about a hand? Can you, do something, you know.
Yeah, you
Whatever.
know, maybe you can do something like you know, because look, I know it is, especially like you said, right, with everything going on right now, 80,000 rounds, that's a lot. I mean, you know, 9mm was in some cases $1 a round, right? There
Yeah.
are
Yep.
people paying $1 a round. Even if you break it down to, like, let's say 50 cents a round, right? That's $40,000 just on the ammo. I mean,
Significant
Yeah, man.
I
donation.
mean, I'd hold you guys up for that ammo. You
I
know,
mean, you know,
so
Yep.
I mean, if you want, if you, I mean,
so
if
how
you
about?
really wanted
Mhm,
to, if you really wanted to dive into the brass tacks
mhm,
you know, I
mhm,
just look at just the labor, right?
mhm,
You have
mhm,
professional credentialed firearms trainers and range safety officers. You know, they're for the most part, many of them, you know, do this as an official sideline. And you figure, you know, what is their time worth? Yeah, it's worth an awful lot because if they weren't volunteering at the event, they could be conducting their own event and generating revenue and income.
mhm,
So
mhm.
for them, I truly appreciate them participating in the program and donating their time. I
Yeah.
mean, the whole I haven't done this because I haven't really perceived the need to do it, but when you tally up, you know, everything that's involved considering everyone's personal time and the actual access to the guns and ammunition and targets and
Mhm,
earplugs and
mhm.
eyeglasses, I mean, this is a fairly substantial project. It
Yeah.
is.
So, in the interest of helping, you know, I like to help people, and I always tell folks out there, you don't have to, like, you know, it doesn't have to always be money, or it doesn't. You don't always have to think like, oh, I can't help a lot, so therefore I'm not going to help at all. You could do small things to help. How about, you know, we start a drive here, and we just try to get everyone to give up one box of 9mm, right? How about that? You know,
Hey man, that'd be
like,
great.
yeah, we could do something like that. Everyone could just mail in to you. Well, I don't know how that works. We have to check into exactly how that works in the, you know, legally. How
Well,
can we?
don't put it in the actual U.S. mail. You'd have
Right.
to actually
How you actually
send that
send
through.
ammo in, but you know, you could look if you got a lot of if you got a lot of people to participate in that, and everyone sent in a box of ammo. I mean, you know, that's
Well,
like 50 rounds a box.
here's the great thing of where I'm currently positioned right now,
Mhm.
principally with you know, the ammunition that was donated by Phoenix Ammo and
Mhm.
Michigan Coalition of Responsible Gun Owners. They
Mhm.
also gave me a substantial donation to cover ammunition. I
Okay.
don't need ammunition, and I don't want anyone to inadvertently put ammunition cartridges into the U.S.
Yeah.
postal system and be subjected to federal fines for
Mhm.
committing a bad situation, a no no. You know
Mhm.
what? Don't mail me any ammo, right?
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
in
Send
terms of
money.
resources, well, in terms of resources, in the order that I see it, manpower. If you are a firearms trainer, you're a range
Mhm.
safety officer, and you're willing to come here to suburban Detroit to
Mhm.
participate in this project, I would absolutely love to have you.
Okay.
Short of that, if you can't be there to be there on the premises, yeah, go ahead, send us a donation. And
Mhm.
where to send it? Send it to $ Rick Ector over at
What was that?
what is
Cash App?
Cash App?
Cash App?
Cash
Uh
App,
huh.
or you can
Yeah.
do the PayPal, which is info@detroitccw.com.
Okay. Awesome. Go ahead, Patrick.
I was going to say too, you know, last year I'm fully aware of one person that was not a credentialed instructor, but they were pinnacle in helping out. You know, the transition going from the classroom setting to the range setting,
Mhm.
you know, you really have to work some of the folks in there because you got to remember, 2,000 women at last year, not all of them were as familiar with firearms as you and I are. Like,
Mhm.
you know, some of them could have had a violent encounter with a firearm, or it could
Mhm.
have been a sexual abuse or domestic violence victim.
Yeah.
So, not every
Mhm.
person there is quite comfortable. And of course, you know, they go through the safety briefing and they understand the importance of everything. But then they start to get a little anxious and nervous. And we
Mhm.
had quite a few folks helping out with that transition, going
Mhm.
from the classroom setting to the range setting.
Mhm.
You know, helping to shuffle the folks along, saying, okay, this is the sound of a gunshot. This is the sound of a gunshot going off 4 feet from you. You know, and just bringing them and catering them and massaging them to get them ready to go to that line. I mean, those folks were helping out as well. I mean, granted, they didn't handle any firearms, they didn't give any advice, but they were helping out.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Let me get this comment
and he said massaging in a figurative sense. He wasn't saying literally.
No hashtag me too's going on here. Paul Freed gave us some money here.
Money.
All right.
He gave us $10. He says, keep up the good work. Thank you, Paul. We appreciate that. Shout out to everyone who's coming in here. I want everyone to smash those thumbs ups. Asper Warriors says, so this is happening in Detroit. He just came in late. Yes, this is happening in Detroit. It takes place in the middle of August, right? I believe.
Yes, August 21st and August 22nd. It's a Saturday and a Sunday. It's going to be done simultaneously at 2 gun ranges in Taylor, Michigan, over at Recoil and over at Top Gun.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris Billa says, I can lend moral support. Hey, moral support's good. Go to one of Rick's social medias and share it. Help share the message, get things out there. Share this podcast. That will go a long way to helping out, right? There's always things you could do. If you know someone who could help out, that's a way to go about this as well. I think you might be able to help talk to some of the companies that can contribute into this whole effort. If not now, this is going to happen again next year, and I'm sure Rick is going to take next year. He's going to have 10,000 women I'm guessing like
18 hours.
Yeah, in like 20 different ranges in Detroit.
We're going to do it on Hank's property. Yes.
Oh, no. That is a big negatory. American Freedom Outdoors says, how about putting a portion of the super chats to help out towards ammo? Let's see. And LV Louis Cypher says, ammo has to be shipped FedEx or UPS. So there you go. That's the whole deal with the ammo. Yeah, listen.
Right now for this event for this year, I don't need ammo. Phoenix Ammunition and
ammo's covered.
Coalition of gun owners have covered the ammo.
Yeah. And then let's see. And then so Richard Monder, who's over in England, says, why not order it online and have it sent to his address? Yeah, you can always do that. But they don't need ammo. They need other things. They need instructors. They need actually money to help get this done. One of the big things.
I take it upon myself to actually feed people and keep them, give them snacks and stuff to drink and hydrate.
Yeah, you need to stay hydrated. Right. What kind of?
There's all sorts of things that pop up on a
when these instructors are coming down, like when an instructor like Patrick is coming down there, are they paying their way there? Where are they staying? What's the gritty details?
I wish I could, man. And you know what? The great thing that I love about volunteers such as Patrick, who come all the way from Atlanta, Georgia. You know how far Atlanta, Georgia is from Detroit?
Oh yeah, very far. Yeah.
Very far, and you know what? As a matter of fact, Pat was making
1,500 miles. I don't know
going on a much longer journey, and he stopped over in Detroit. And when he contacted me, he's like, "Hey, man, I'm going to be in Detroit for a minute." You know what I did? I dropped everything I was doing and came over, and we went out and I think we had breakfast. Wasn't that breakfast we went and had?
It was breakfast.
Hey. Anytime he comes in town, just call me and give me a heads up, and I'll drop what I'm doing because I know he's coming all the way from Atlanta to be in Detroit. As a friend, it's the least I can do is have a meal with him.
Yeah, and Lola is throwing up your Cash App as well as the PayPal.
I appreciate that. Tell her I said
that's
thank
up there for folks who want to help out. Yeah, so these instructors are coming out there really on their own dime, obviously, because it would be expensive to put everyone up.
I appreciate each and every one of them.
Yep.
Last year we had instructors come in from California. We had people come in from obviously Georgia, Ohio. There's this friendly rivalry between Michigan and Ohio. We had several Buckeyes from the Buckeye Firearms Association came up, and quite a few other states, man. See, I'm naming states, and I know I'm going to forget some. Had people come up from Florida. Carey came up, so Florida. What's the mascot of the Florida team there? Florida what?
The Gators?
We had some Gators come up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah. Lola's a gator. So where are you staying, Patrick? Like, is there, I know, like, there's an image of Detroit, right? Which I'm sure is not true. Everyone, it's like probably the worst place on the face of the planet. People have these images going on of Detroit. Someone asked earlier, what's more dangerous, Detroit or blah blah blah, some other place? Where are you staying there? How,
So the best answer for that would be Rick has set up an instructors only chat or an instructors only site for the event. And if they qualify and they vet out, because Rick actually does vet folks out. I mean, he checks Tanisha, his folks check. But if they are qualified and they match up, we welcome them into the little group. And then all that information is in that chat or in that group page per se.
Okay.
So,
all right. Yeah. Okay. So people have to be vetted out to find out about that particular thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
if you contact me and you are a credentialed trainer, range safety officer, we'll direct you to this private group that we set up on Facebook, and it's an area just for people associated with the event, and we do a lot of coordination there, and of course by telephone, and it facilitates the transfer of information to make sure everyone is all on the same page.
Oh, okay, all right. So yeah, if you're credentialed, with good credentials, I'm guessing, there's some
I mean, from some recognized firearms training granting governmental agency or training,
not VADA or something like that. We're not, if you're, if you're that, guy,
not that, I don't, what? God bless you, but I'm not. I don't want the guy who will say, "Well, hey, look, man, I've been a gun owner for 20 years, and I know how to safely shoot a gun."
Yeah.
No,
I developed super tactical moves in my own basement, son.
And that may very well be the case. I want some independent credential granting organization of some sort, whether it's NRA, USCCA, some state level organization, what have you, to be a better of sorts to at least provide me with a modicum amount of confidence that you know what you're doing.
Right.
And just to add to his point too, is that there are CRSOs out there, there are RSOs out there, range safety officers, chief range safety officers out there. There is a hierarchy. And if you as an instructor do something that's a little shady, they're going to call you out on it. I mean, they know what they're looking for. This is a well-refined, this is a course that I would put my own mother through, that's what the type of environment that we're trying to create.
Right.
So, I mean, we will call you out if you're doing something a little, hold the firearm like this or whatever it is. We're going to call you out on that.
Okay. Patrick's real serious about this, man. Do you know, he seems like he's got a high rank in this.
I'm not even
like
ranked yet.
He's like a major general or something. Yeah. What's his? Yeah. No, Patrick's always been a serious guy as long as I've known him.
Yeah. No, it's good stuff though. Good stuff.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Armin and Axis says that drive is 720 miles. He used to drive it all the time. Brian Quick says, does Rick see Axel Foley driving around in his Ferrari 308 GTB a lot?
Of course, Axel Foley is the Eddie Murphy reference to Beverly Hills Cop, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you get from Detroit. What's Detroit really like? Let's talk about that. Everyone has their idea of what Detroit is like. Maybe they watched 8 Mile. Maybe they watched freaking Beverly Hills Cop or something like that. What's the real?
What is Detroit really like, man? You know what? Yeah, I imagine Detroit is not unlike any other relatively major, large urban center across the country. Granted, we have our share of issues, but if you look at the crime stats, particularly coming out of the pandemic or the post-pandemic era, and as a matter of fact, I was actually looking at those stats. places all over the country aren't doing so well crime wise. And,
Mm-hmm.
even when our ex police chief, James Craig, published our crime stats from last year, several months ago,
Mm-hmm.
even he had to say, look, crime is up and it's bad, but I guess when you're trying to put the best face on things, he was like, but it's not as bad as other places across the country. And then he showed comparing
Yeah.
states,
The
competing
worst.
stats from other major metropolitan areas. But
Yeah. The
if
worst place in
you
the
are
country is
from,
DC to me, man. That's the worst place. That's where the most
I
crimes take
mean,
place.
I've lived in Detroit my whole entire life.
Mm-hmm.
God willing, I'll be 54 in September, man. And
Oh.
it's always been a
You're a
tough
youngster.
place to live.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Mm-hmm.
Always has been a tough place, man. And, there's just a certain level of existing and living. There's a common street sense, being streetwise,
Mm-hmm.
that you just acquire from being in this environment. So if you're coming from small town America and you just happen to find your way here and you're in the wrong community and you look like you don't belong there and you're acting out of place, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you might be sized up for victimization.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think crime is out of control? Well, what do you think out of control is? I mean, I'm relatively crime free, but you know what? You got to take a lot of things into account. I have a certain level of street being streetwise. I don't put myself in a vulnerable position. My level of awareness is on A1, and
Mm-hmm.
of course, I'm armed. So
Yeah.
I don't really worry about it too much, but I take
Mm-hmm.
an abundance of precaution.
Yeah.
But
Everywhere is dangerous. I
I
agree with you on that. You know.
I wouldn't venture into some major urban center, and not have any experience with that environment or how to conduct yourself. There's just some things that you don't do. You don't allow yourself to get introduced into certain situations. You obviously are going to keep strangers at bay. You're going to keep a certain level of distance from you. You're going to assess your environment before you even partake in it. If I'm going to some place to patronize and I just don't like the characters that are milling about, guess what? I'll just go somewhere else.
Yeah. Don't go.
High
Mm-hmm.
traffic areas such as gas stations and convenience stores, you know what? There are places that you shouldn't be, as particularly after dark, and then of course, some areas of any community are more challenged than others. So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's a certain level of just street sense that you just have if you're in the community. So,
Yeah.
and I'm sure it's no different than some areas of Florida.
Absolutely not. I mean, I grew up in New York City, and I lived in some places in New York that were probably bad. But when you're there, you're under the pressure, right? So you don't really necessarily notice it until you come out of that and then look back at it, maybe. But I think pressure is a good thing. They say like pressure busts pipes and pressure makes diamonds, right? So it's just the
Hmm.
difference is you and who you are and whether or not you could take that stuff. Let me do this real quick before I forget. Clovertack is out there. See Clovertack. He says, "What about Texas or National 4-H youth shooting sports?" I'm assuming he's asking that so far as the credentials, if those credentials are accepted. I could be wrong. Let us know what you're talking about.
I'm not familiar with those. I mean, is that some type of official credential that attests to your
Mhm,
ability to safely operate a
mhm,
firearm and to safely teach others how to operate a firearm? Is that on par with what we're talking about? Is that something
mhm,
similar? I'm not for sure.
mhm,
Essentially, what I want is someone who has some demonstrable credential that attests to some level of safe handling, operation, and teaching people how to safely use a firearm, particularly a 9 millimeter handgun. Doesn't
mhm,
have to be a 9 millimeter, but just fundamental firearm safety.
mhm.
I mean, there's just some things that go along with the territory. I can just watch how you handle and manipulate a gun to tell whether you either don't have any training or you're just reckless and you just choose to voluntarily ignore fundamental firearm safety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, we've all had that experience where you go to a public range and you see someone that does something out of order, and you
Mm-hmm.
walk over to them and you either check them or you leave, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or bring it to the attention of people that
Mm-hmm.
operate that range. I mean, I'm sure we've all had that experience.
Yeah. At the same time, I think
No.
there's lots of good dudes out there who, who have a good understanding of what safety is. The biggest event that I've ever done, that required a lot of different safety officers and all that, is the 1,000-man shoot.
Hmm.
And that was pretty intense, and that was a lot of different safety people. Obviously, 1,000 guns shooting at the same time. Took a lot of coordination and all that kind of stuff. So I think all these things are doable, and we've got lots of good people out there. I think what Rick is trying to do here is make sure that they have the right folks out there, because obviously you don't want something to go wrong,
You
or
know,
anyone to get hurt.
and it's not just the things that you think first off. Like, obviously, you know, fundamental firearm safety. You're going to keep your gun pointed in the safe direction at all times, right? Finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. You know,
Mm-hmm.
those things. And then we even get into some of the things that are, by definition, are rare, but they could still happen. And over the
Mm-hmm.
course of this event, we've had them occur. Like, everyone knows what a squib load is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is something that we actually talk about during the process of education our fellow trainers, and like, hey, you may come across one. Well, we've actually come across several squib loads over the years, and we were able to catch them each and every time.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. This is why we follow the rules, especially in these situations. LV Louis Cipher wants to know. He says, "How legal intensive is this event, or is it just basic firearm handling?"
When you say how legal intensive, in
Yeah.
terms of what type of legal information is provided,
I'm gonna assume that's what he's asking. Yes.
I mean, this is not designed to educate people as to what the laws are in terms of, let's say, for example, lethal force usage, right? I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to teach someone when they can use lethal force, right? No,
Mm-hmm.
that's outside the scope of what we're doing. Our major focus is teaching you fundamental firearm safety, how to safely handle a gun, how to safely load it, how to safely discharge it, and hopefully you get some good results and a nice, pretty target silhouette. It's a great introduction to shooting for someone who hasn't had that experience, or if you've shot before. And I'll tell you, as a firearms trainer, we all have had that experience where we talk to someone who got their concealed carry permit, they have their gun, they shot, during that one course, and then they're up for a renewal 4 years later, and you say, well, hey, when did you last shoot? And they say, well, hey, it's been a minute. In some cases, they haven't shot since they got their initial training. And so that's the other concern, right?
Okay.
Just because you could shoot 4 years ago, well, you may not be as accurate next time out, and hopefully next time out isn't when your life is on the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Let me get some. Let me get some stuff in here. Um, I'm trying to keep up with everyone. Smash the thumbs ups, guys. My goal by the end of the show is to get to 100. We're only halfway there. We got like 50. Okay, so I'm gonna try to make it happen. This is the 800th show. Let's at least try to do it. Charlie Chambers says I love Detroit. And then let's see. Someone YNH says I visited Detroit last summer. I enjoyed myself. Awesome. I think we got a super chat from Flying Rich. Here we go.
Money,
Flying
money,
Rich
money,
gave us-
money.
He says, "Here's some cash." You like that, right? He gave us some. He says, "Here's some cash for the guys." Okay, thank you. I appreciate. By that, I hope. I think you mean me. So thank you.
No, I think it means the women's event is what I think.
Oh, yeah. Check is in the mail. No, I'm just kidding. Jackie April. Jackie April says these fellas both need training from VADA Tactical, lacking that their credentials are nil to me. He's just joking. Do you know about that? I don't know if you know about VADA at all. You probably
Oh yeah,
You
you
guys
know
know
what? Your interview
Yeah.
with him was epic, man. That was like must-see journalism in the gun
That was
space, man.
episode
And
1.
you know, and the one thing I want to give a shout out to you, man, is because you displayed like the utmost in professionalism. You were like you played it straight. That I didn't
Hmm.
detect any sarcasm. I
Hmm.
mean, you were like, "Hey, I'm a professional journalist. You are
Hmm.
garnering a lot of publicity, and
Hmm.
I just want to give you your chance to give your explanation or your take on things." So yeah,
No.
a huge shout out to you, man,
Thank
because
you. I
hey,
mean,
I
I'm
don't
not a
know if
professional
I don't know
journalist, but
I
you
don't
know.
know I don't know if I could have done it on that level in terms
Right.
of being that professional.
Right. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm not a professional journalist. I was trying to give him give him a fair shot, to be honest with you. It's one of those things that, like, so that was episode 1 actually of this podcast. That
Oh
Oh,
that
wow.
okay. Well, I
Yeah.
remember that well.
Yeah. And so here's the thing, right? You guys have probably been through this before. I'm sure I'm not the only one. That whole VADA thing was blowing up, and I saw it, but I really didn't care about it. And then everyone started reaching out to me because he's a black guy. They felt like I knew who he was, and they were like, "What's
Right.
up with your dude?" I was like, I don't even know this guy. I don't know this
So
guy
so
from anywhere.
so how were you able to get a hold to him, one, and two, convince him to do your show?
So it
I mean,
turned out,
obviously,
mhm,
he had to be questioning your motives when you
right.
contacted him. I mean, how were you able to convince him that you would treat the subject fairly?
So the thing that is true, that there are a lot of black people out there who do follow and support me, right? So what actually happened is
Hmm.
someone on Facebook. Do you know who that was, Patrick? It was someone on Facebook that I knew, and he knew him, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll get that guy on your show. We'll do it." It
Yeah.
was. I'm trying to remember who it was. He's the guy is in some organization, and I said, "Hey, do you know this guy?" And he was like, "Yeah, I know him. We'll get him to come on there." And he came on with him. So I would have to go back to that episode and look at it, but it was the gentleman that came on with him at the time actually knew him. And I honestly did want to give him a fair shake to try to explain himself to folks out there. I think we did that. I think he had his shot at what did you think about that whole thing when it was going on?
You know,
You're a trainer. You're a trainer, right? You're out there trying to train people and help people and all that kind of stuff. So I want to know, man. You could tell us. I'm not going to tell anyone.
I mean, there's obviously some things that he advocated that weren't very
Mhm.
conventional in the firearms training space, and
Mhm. Mhm.
you know, like I said, I saw the interview, man, and I gave
Mhm.
you like kudos because you
Uh.
did it so objectively, and
Mhm.
you know what, you were actually fair in giving him a fair opportunity to
Mhm.
give his side of the whole controversy and to explain in his own words. And I did not get the hint of any of you being biased one way or another. You were the epitome of a fair journalist. So I have to
Okay.
say much respect to you because you didn't come at it with any malice. With any
Mhm.
malice, like I'm going to skewer you or nail you to the cross,
Mhm.
on my brand new podcast. So
Yeah.
much respect
That's
to you for doing that.
that's not my intention of doing this. I feel like I'm doing this so that everyone can have a platform to talk on, and there's not a high barrier to entry, or however you want to whatever's the right way to put it. It's not difficult to get through. There's lots of situations that we're all in where there's kind of like gatekeepers to things, and it's tough for people to get on and do their thing. When I look back at it, I think that he in a lot of ways was trolling everyone and was doing this stuff, for the attention, and that he realized that, and he was looking for that from people. Um, so I wanted to give him that opportunity to get in front of people and be able to say things without people just, piling up on him and dumping on him and stuff like that. And I appreciate where you're coming from with that. I got that same response from a lot of people that were looking at it at the time. What did you want to say, Patrick?
No, I was going to say you really, I mean, you kept it clean. You kept it
Mm-hmm.
classy, and you just, you know, I hate to say let him shoot himself in the foot, but
Mm-hmm.
that's basically what happened. You
Mm-hmm.
just, you didn't do anything. You didn't prime any pumps. You
Mm-hmm.
just, there it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with this thing that I'm trying to do, everyone has a point of view that they're coming from, and so even if
Hmm.
I don't agree with you, people are served better if you get to come out and at least say things. I think since that episode, there's been lots of other situations, not necessarily exactly like that, but where people come on and say things, and when you get an opportunity to say what you have to say and put it on the record, I don't have to be the one to take you out because you just put it on
Exactly.
the record. you know
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
I don't know if that gives anyone any insight to my to my psychology or how I look at things, but that is really the way that I look at it. I'm not really even trying to fight with anyone and all that. I grew up in New York City, man. So like
Okay.
this idea of and I grew up in a place called Far Rockaway in New York, which was pretty hood in the 80s when I grew up there, and it still is. It's all projects and stuff like that, and my family was too poor to live in the projects. So,
Okay.
you know, I kind of grew up in that environment that you say things and you're going to see people.
Yep.
You
Right.
have to be willing to say those things to their face and all that kind of stuff. So that's that's how I look at this. So let's see where do we want to go from here? What's going on with you guys? Are there things we're kind of in the middle of the show right now? We have talked about the event that's coming up. Are there things going on with you guys? What do you guys do outside of the gun world? Right, like what do you do that's not gun related to have fun?
Ooh, what do I do outside of gun relate? Gee, man.
What's your
Sleep, eat.
Come on, that can't be it, man. You gotta have some other stuff. You gotta have some other things
Yeah.
going on, or you're just living for the gun
I
thing
mean,
every day.
and see, you were trying to like say, well,
Mm-hmm.
things that are not in this gun thing. I mean, I do a lot of gun rights advocacy. I do a lot
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
speeches before organizations. Unfortunately, they're not paid speeches, but I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if there's something going on somewhere, there's a lot of different chapters of different organizations that have meetings on a regular,
Mm-hmm.
ongoing basis.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that every organization needs and or wants is a speaker who can come in and do a 15, 20 minute, 30-minute speech on something,
Mm-hmm.
and I've carved out a space here in this community where I'm routinely, petitioned or summoned to come out and speak. So that's a form of gun rights advocacy, but that's outside of gun training per se,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're
Okay.
truly about gun rights, I mean, you're
Mm-hmm.
out there, sharing your point of view and
Mm-hmm.
taking a position on things that come up. I mean, just all of the things that come up on a regular basis, in terms of gun rights, and there's
Mm-hmm.
a case or two that's going to be before the U.S. Supreme Court coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
what opinion do you have on those matters? I do a piece with on Lock and Load with Bill Frady every
Mm-hmm.
Thursday evening, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard.
Mm-hmm.
My segment I do once a week is called Planet Rick, and well, what do I
Oh.
talk about in the weekly one
Mm-hmm.
hour segment?
Mm-hmm.
Anything that relates to training or self defense in that uh, topic area that is of interest to me. That's my 1 hour to come on and do that. And this past weekend, I celebrated my second anniversary of doing that 1 hour segment
Mm-hmm.
week after week after week. And I'll tell you this one thing that I can appreciate from you from having your show that you do daily, man. I do that 1 hour weekly
Mm-hmm.
segment.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I come up with my 1 hour a week, I'm looking at everything that I've done for the last 2 years and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what am I going to talk about now? right? And I look at everything I talked about, and I don't want to be repetitive. It is challenging to come up with stuff to talk about, especially stuff that you've already talked about. If you've already talked about it, like, why am I going to talk about it again? No, I have to come up with something new. And a lot of times when I come up with my subject matter, I take a look at what's happening in the public arena. What incident or what atrocity just occurred? What major legislation that's coming down the pike or being considered is of high interest? So I'm literally taking things from the headlines, probably not unlike what you and Lola do with putting this show together. And I'll tell you, for me personally, it's challenging to put out that 1 hour a week, and then you do it every day of the week.
We do it 5 days.
All the credit.
Yeah, and so
even 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And you do it for 2 hours, man. I'm doing it 1 hour, right?
So,
and since we've been doing it, you haven't had any official commercial breaks where you're like, okay, we're about to go to commercial break and then spend 5 minutes going to do commercial.
No, we got to keep it flowing. Listen, so
you're like, hey, we're keeping it flowing. Hit the Cash App, send it in and support it, and then you'll turn around and read a few comments. By the way, if you're watching this show and you got any questions you want to direct it at either me or Patrick, hit it, and me and Pat will get to you, and we'll have some fun doing it.
Yeah. So one of the things I was going to say to you is I kind of look at this almost as how like a comedian needs to do stand-up, right? I used to watch Joe Rogan all the time until he went over to Spotify. I haven't been able to catch up with it. But, he's a comedian. And regardless of what it is that he's doing, that's kind of like his art. That's his thing that he does. And so he likes to get out there and get on the stage and stand up and do the stand-up stuff because it forces you. You have to learn how to riff. You have to learn how to freestyle and get into things. So that's kind of what we're doing here. And I think I told you before we started that this is almost like my business meeting that I have with my friends, folks in the industry, manufacturers, people that we're doing things with all the time, or folks like yourself. And we're sharing it with everyone. I don't think that there's anything wrong with talking about the same things over and over again if you haven't gotten it out of your system. So sometimes I haven't gotten it out of my system, or the folks out there haven't gotten that subject out of their system, and it's good to just like talk about it until you just
beat it to death.
Right? It's done. Those demons are dead now at this point. So I think that's a good thing to do, but that's what we're trying. We're trying to freestyle here.
I like to cover things, and I just don't want to just beat it to death and have my idea of something I wouldn't want to experience is someone saying, oh God, Rick's talking about this topic again. Like, can you come up with something else, right? And these are the things that are going on in my head every week when I'm like, okay, I'm on Bill Frady's Lock and Load for my Planet Rick segment this upcoming Thursday at 5 p.m. What am I going to talk about today, right?
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it gets challenging because I've done it for 2 years every Thursday.
Just talk about your toothpick collection. Talk about the plants that you grow. I know you're trying to tell us you're a robot and you don't do anything else except talk about the Second Amendment and guns and stuff like that, But there's
guns and training, the latest atrocities that occurred, in the news media. I mean, if I'm really struggling for a topic, all I'll do is fire up the local newspaper or TV station and see what everybody's talking about. And hey, I'll chime in with my little piece. And from a superficial 10,000 foot view, if you listen to my detractors, they're like, oh yeah, here's Rick Ector again talking about give everyone a gun, right? And I'm like, yeah, why not?
Yeah,
it'll sort itself out sooner or later.
That's a good formula. That's a good formula. Okay, I can't get it out of him, Patrick. You tell us, what do you do outside of gun stuff? Because I know you also do a lot of gun stuff. What's your thing outside of gun stuff that you do?
I'm into the public arena a lot. I tend to speak out against political events that happen here in the city of Atlanta and the state of Georgia. Obviously Atlanta has had a uptick of attention when it comes to certain things.
Mm-hmm.
We've had some definite atrocities that have happened in this city, and
Mm-hmm.
I tend to get involved a lot more with the community, just trying to help out where I can. I mean, folks don't understand how useful they can be, even if it's just your opinion. Even if your opinion is wrong, it's still a voice that can be heard. And a lot of people forget that, communication is probably one of the most important things. In fact, that's what the First Amendment's about. It's about communication. So, like, that's what I do is I just get involved, man. If I have an opinion about something, whether it's a, police involved event or whatever type of event it was, I in fact, I had a nice conversation with one of my mentors, and actually a couple of my mentors. I'll tell you two stories here. But one of them, I was looking for help. I was like, how do I respond to this? It was the incident that happened not too far from where I'm at right now in a parking lot. But a gentleman decided to challenge a Georgia State police officer, and he was driving a Hemi. Was it Charger? Yeah, it was a Charger. And a state trooper was driving a Charger, and this guy decided to push his car. And I was like,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
I was like, how is he challenging him? Okay.
Yeah, he literally decided to challenge him by pushing his car. And of course, the state trooper gets out of his car, draws his weapon, he points, but he doesn't shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a whole bunch of uproar about, oh, well, the guy who was driving the car, even though he was trying to push the police officer's car, he was unarmed, and this.
Your
and that.
car is a deadly weapon.
I was like, yeah, he's also traveling in a 4,000-pound bullet,
Yeah.
that kills more people than guns too, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I had to make a little public statement about that, and that was fairly well received. I mean, you still got the people who are like, little Pookie didn't do anything.
Oh.
And I'm just like, yeah, right. Yeah, he's not so little anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have another one. I have a few friends of mine, mentors of mine, that are dealing with property complaint issues because they run a business off of their property, a gun range off their property.
Mm-hmm.
And I am going to definitely get involved with them and help them out, support them however I can. I'm not going to do any name dropping per se, but their issue that they're having right now is that their political motivation, or rather, the city or the county that they're in, is kind of politically motivated to push them out because of the whole firearm involvement in their business that they have on their range.
Okay.
And little do they know that, they help instructors like myself. They help police officers. They do requalifications, DOD training through the state. I mean, these guys have impacted so many other people's lives that I don't want that to be forgotten,
Okay.
And yeah, so just getting involved, man, having an opinion, having a voice, and getting it out there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Both of you guys, all you do is gun stuff all day. That's what I'm getting out of this. Which I know better. I know better. I know. I know better.
Since you opened the door, since you're a man of many talents, skills, and interests, tell me, Mr. Hank Strange, when you're not doing this show, what do you do? That's totally unrelated.
There's a bunch of things.
We've already talked about your affinity for vehicles.
Oh,
so
I can't talk about cars.
Around in your vehicle and you're not doing this show. Tell me what captivates Hank Strange?
My favorite thing to do is to make music, even though I can't read music or play any instruments. That's my favorite thing to do.
How do you make music if you can't
I make music electronically.
Music?
You can electronically make music. I mean, there's,
so
all
we need to call you DJ? DJ Hank Strange?
All the music on my videos, I made it. So you can program music. You don't have to be able to play it. You can program music. It's how you arrange things. You could take MIDI, for example, and arrange it and just change what the instruments are, or on a drum machine you don't really have to. That's where I learned how to do that, growing up in New York, and I kind of grew up in hip hop and had friends that produced hip hop and stuff like that, and I realized everybody doesn't know how to play music. So there's lots of things you could do with a drum machine, for example. So one of my favorite things is making music, and I always incorporate the music that I make into into my videos. If you listen to any of my videos and you hear any kind of music, that's something that I made. So that kind of stuff, I love being creative. I really enjoy the process of creativity, not just when it comes to music. I like to do digital art, all that kind of stuff. That's how I get high. Just by making something, creating something, not necessarily out of nothing. I don't believe you create things out of nothing, right? I think creativity, you're plugging into the universe somehow and drawing something from that, and then kind of like twisting it and bending it and shaping it in your own form and putting it out in the world. So yeah, that would be one of the things that I like to do. I'm sure you guys have some stuff like that. So tell me, Patrick, I know he's just pretending. He doesn't want to. He doesn't. I'm gonna have to like out him for some stuff here. He's not gonna tell us anything.
I got cars and travel, and actually, you know what's funny? This will be the last time I'm sitting in the back seat of this truck. I am selling this truck.
Okay. Yeah. You have a video where you talked about all the different cars you had.
The thing that I'm surprised Patrick hasn't mentioned, and see, I know I've had more than a few conversations with him. One of the things I like and admire about Patrick is that he is well traveled. Yep. He has traveled a lot outside of the country.
He's trying to be humble.
And I'll tell you, every time I've talked to him personally, face to face, he always has an interesting story or anecdote about his travels, man.
Yeah,
and,
he is a Renaissance man.
Yeah. And the only country I personally ever have gone to only countries I've been to have been Canada, which is across the bridge, Mexico, and the Bahamas, right? Other than that, nothing. Well, but the Bahamas isn't even another country. But I mean, it is, but not really, right? So I mean,
right. Okay, so so where have you been? Where have you been, Patrick? Rick has dropped it on you here. Tell us the places in the world you've been. That's what we want to hear about. Where have you been in the world?
My goal prior to COVID hitting was to hit every single continent, and in fact, I had Antarctica on there as well. But last year, prior to COVID, let's see, I had 4 continents already covered pre-COVID, so mid-February. I had that many. But I've been all around the world. I've been to Asia a couple times. I've been to South America. I've been to Europe, all different countries in Europe. And, in Europe, it's very different. I told Rick this, but, you go into a country and you don't speak their language, you got to figure it out.
Yeah, they don't care. They're not going to make special dispensations for you.
So you're an expert in communicating in another culture and country without knowing the language.
I would say I'm pretty good at it. Now, I do have my struggles sometimes because I'd use that Google reading. Google has it very nice. Yeah. Let me tell you, I was in Taiwan at a beach, and they had a sign up that said, "Don't lose your dragon on the sand."
I know what that means.
And
I ain't never losing my dragon. Not voluntarily.
I was like, oh, this doesn't make any sense. Like,
it makes sense to me.
And so basically it was no skinny dipping, right? So it was so far off. I mean, but I've had so much fun traveling, man. I do miss it. I wish, folks would just get back to normalcy. This whole, this pandemic thing's going to kill you. I get it. It may have killed some people. I get that. And, the virus is the virus, but people got to live. You only got one life,
We're going to die. We're going to die. When you're born, the promise is that you will die eventually.
Yep.
It's how you
everybody says everybody says taxes and death, but some people don't even make it to taxes. So it's really just death. That's guaranteed.
Yeah. Okay, very cool. So Rick dropped one on you. I'm going to drop this also, whether you like it or not now, since Rick went first. I know that you are into cooking. You enjoy the culinary arts as well. I know this, but you just don't want to tell anyone You know?
that's so true too. Yes, I
Yeah.
do enjoy cooking. I
Yeah.
come from a big cooking family. My brother is an executive chef. He actually served the former presidents multiple times.
Oh, really?
Um,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, I come from a big cooking family, and I enjoy cooking, man. Every night I occasionally will put on the camera and record myself and show
Hmm.
different techniques and stuff like that. Because to me, it's relaxing. It's an art
So you
form.
have
It's a
a
form of
YouTube
art.
channel for cooking?
I do,
What is
and
it?
guess what it
What is
is?
it? What is it?
The Gun Foodie.
Oh, okay.
Full
Okay, hold
circle,
on.
full circle.
I mean, seriously.
So you just
The gun
combine
foodie.
both interests into one, right?
Yeah.
You
That's
open
absolutely
carry
right.
before
You are-
in front of the stove. What?
Yep. I wear an apron and an outside the waistband holster. There we go.
Let me see. Is this it right here on you? Let's see if this is it right here.
Let's
Oh
see.
yeah, this looks like it. Is this your channel?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I have random stuff on there, but I do have a playlist of all my recipes that I have. Yeah, that's my channel. I like to hike as well. Outdoorsman.
Okay, so all of that is going on the Gun Foodie.
All of that's going on there. I have different
Oh,
playlists
okay,
for
so
whatever I feel like
everything-
showing.
Okay, so everything that you want people to see is on Gun Foodie. Okay, let me subscribe
Everything.
to that actually. All right, cool.
All right.
Yeah. See, there you go. What's wrong with that? So what's your specialty? Desserts. This is why I even remember because I know you told me you
Oh.
do desserts and.
Yes, I do
I'm into
desserts.
yeah.
So my specialty is sugar-free. I'm a diabetic, so sugar-free ice cream.
Oh, okay.
And sugar-free like desserts like cinnamon rolls and stuff like that, low glycemic stuff. Using almond flour, using Splenda, and also using like monk fruit and other different sweetener alternatives. So yeah, I mean, but
Yeah.
it's really an art because you can't just like mix things together. I mean, you can't just like shake up your refrigerator and get a cake, right? It's an art. Like you have to have certain things
I
that
wish
you
I
mix in there.
could. That'd be so amazing.
Yeah, that would be kind of nice though. You just add
Yeah.
everything into one container and just
Yeah. Come on,
you're
where
done.
is that tech? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming soon. Coming soon.
Yeah. So you learned how to so you had to switch over and do that because you are diabetic. I'm very interested in that. I'm not diabetic so far as I know. I know that my mom was, but I think as I get older, I always worry about that, and I have kind of like a sweet tooth, and I'm always telling Lola, man, I need to figure that out, because
Yes.
I feel like I need to drop sugar altogether, and as I get older, I feel like it doesn't do good things to me, especially just being busy and having a lot of things going on. Then you kind of like lean on the food, if that makes any sense, and you eat a lot of stuff with
Absolutely.
sugar, but then it's not good for you.
Exactly. So like a lot of things that
Listening to you two guys now, I don't really eat sweets at all, man. Like, how often are
Man,
you guys eating
We can't
cakes and
we can't
pies and-
we can't
and
be
cookies
awesome
and
like
stuff?
you.
Yeah,
Come
for real, that's just not my thing,
Is this true?
Wait a second.
I don't know. Is he making this up?
No, he's making it up. Let me tell you.
Oh, okay.
He adds sugar to his grits. I mean, how are you saying you don't eat sugar?
Wait. Look, adding sugar to your grits does not make that like a snack or
What-
a treat. Or,
What kind of sugar do you add to your grits?
I mean, just regular, straight up sugar. I mean, not that.
So wait a
stuff.
second.
I mean,
Wait, hold on. So, because I don't know this, right? I was born like outside of America. Are you not supposed to put sugar on grits?
there are some
No. Oh,
prudes
okay.
out there that don't believe that you can put sugar on.
We need to take a
As a
poll.
matter of fact,
Yeah, let us-
you can put sugar in oatmeal, man.
Of course. Yeah, that's oatmeal. Okay, hold on. Right now, everyone tell us.
Or put sugar in your rice, man.
Okay, sugar in the rice. I have seen people do. Yes. I don't believe that's necessarily something that that you're supposed to be doing, but I have seen people do that. Let us know right now if you're supposed to put sugar in the grits. By the way, It Ain't Just Paint says huge thumbs up for Rick Ector. Gotta love Detroit folks. So that's like it ain't just paint out there. As you guys are coming in, smash the thumbs ups. Right now, we're doing a poll of whether or not you're supposed to put sugar in your grits. My favorite breakfast thing is cream of wheat, which I know you could put sugar in. And and I'm a big fan of
What
brown
is
sugar.
cream of wheat though? What is that?
I don't know. You mean what is it actually? I have
For
no
real,
idea.
What is that?
I know it's some stuff you. It's like a
And you're
grain.
eating this stuff.
It's
What
like
is
a,
it?
yeah. I don't know what it is.
Does it still have the black dude on the package, or are they updating it?
I don't know. It might be Aunt Jemima on that package. I have no idea. But I know that it's some kind of grain that you soak it in milk and then you boil it up.
Some
You gotta
kind
put
of grain.
I don't know what it's a wheat grain. It's the cream of the wheat grain.
It's the cream.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna have to go Google what exactly is cream of wheat.
Man, people will eat anything. Look, man, look. Grits, oatmeal, and rice, and you're good.
Yeah, how are you? So, but you're saying you put actual sugar. You don't put like jelly on your rice. You're just
No.
You're just sprinkling sugar. What kind of sugar are you sprinkling on rice?
Just regular granulated sugar, man. Not that Splenda. Just regular sugar. People have all these weird sugar substitutes. Like if you ask someone how they take their coffee, right? And they don't put just straight sugar in it. They got all these other sugar substitutes like Splenda and stuff in it, man. Just messing it up.
Yeah. Let's see. Boss Hog says butter, sugar, and grits. Butter, sugar, and rice. How my grandmother fed it to me. Oh, okay. So I guess that is a thing. And Ray
I told you it was a thing.
Ray Bozzolo says cream of wheat is grits with wheat, not corn. So, and I'm looking it up right now. Cream of wheat is an American brand of farina, a type of breakfast porridge mix made from wheat semolina. It looks similar to grits, but is smoother in texture since it is made with ground wheat kernels instead of ground corn. Boom! There you go. See these dudes out here.
Porridge. Which children's story was that when they talked about porridge?
Oh, that's
Goldilocks, isn't it?
No,
Goldilocks.
Goldilocks is porridge, but also what was the story? It was like, oh please, may I have another? What was that story that in England the
Tiny Tim?
No, not Tiny Tim. It was the story of all these like homeless like kids that lived in the streets of England stealing. I can't remember. It's one of the Dickens stories.
Oh, I'm thinking Mary Poppins. You mentioned England.
You know, like it's the Dickens story where in the orphanage they were giving them porridge or something, and you just get one bowl, and then the guy came up and said he wanted another bowl. It's one of the Dickens stories that I forget now. But there you go.
That sounds horrid.
Yeah. So yeah, you're just trying to deflect right now, Rick, because all you do is gun stuff all the time because you don't want to tell us. Yeah, you don't want to tell us.
I have this hidden.
Yeah, you don't want us to know about your secret sugar or rice addiction.
And I'm doing all this weird stuff. Right?
Yeah, you don't want us to know about your rice sugar addiction. Richard Mondo says you get rice pudding and have that sweet. Yeah, I know. Do you know what rice pudding is or rice?
I like rice pudding. Love it. My mom used to make it. Man, it is awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. So, but that's not. But that's that's a different thing.
Yeah, that's a different thing. I wouldn't have rice pudding for breakfast. No.
Yeah, that's a different story. So, I'm trying to. I've someone. Oliver Twist. I think it's Oliver Twist.
Oh,
okay.
Remember? Did you guys remember Oliver Twist?
It's a long time ago, man.
Someone just said it.
How long ago was that? Now, if you're asking me, do I take time out of my regular schedule to revisit the classics on an ongoing basis? The answer is no, I don't.
No,
right?
No, you don't. So okay, Rick, do you even look at movies? Do you have time in your busy schedule while you're saving the planet and Detroit?
I'm a big Marvel Universe,
here we go. Good.
The MCU, I'm into that. Yeah,
all right.
Movies.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I was watching the latest series that just ended, Loki. I saw the first 2 episodes. I'm in the hole
Loki?
right now. It's actually over. And so don't ruin it for me. No
Oh,
spoilers.
you didn't.
But
Oh, so you didn't finish the Loki series?
I haven't finished it. I'm only 2 episodes in. Why haven't I finished it? Because I've been busy promoting and marketing, right?
Yes.
Right now, my life is this women's shooting event, right?
Yes.
And then once that's over, then I can start.
You are a
time
saintly man. You are a
guilty
saintly, virtuous man.
to these guilty pleasures like watching TV, man. I am not a person that really watches TV.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not.
So are you into Loki also, Patrick? Or are you not? No, not
No, a lot of those movies are recorded here in Atlanta. But no, I have not gotten into many of the
not
movies.
into the MCU at all. No MCU stuff.
No.
Oh.
I'm a big X-Men fan. You ask me anything about X-Men, I can name it all.
Well, they're coming into the MCU soon.
Yeah, I know. Disney owns everything now.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna be on that Disney plantation. Everybody's coming in.
The Eternals are going to be coming up soon, right? That's the huge thing. The next big thing.
Yeah. Okay. So are you both of you guys sci-fi guys then? Can I at least?
I'm into sci-fi, and
Okay.
And as far as this whole Marvel universe, I actually at one point in time actually owned those comic books. But let me tell you about me and comic books, man. I used to own thousands of these things, right? Like tens of thousands in Mylar bags in the boxes, right?
All right.
And then at some point in time, I discovered women, and I sold all my comics and bought a car.
Some point in time.
And
what point in time was that?
And never got into this whole dating women, get married and divorced thing. But
Oh, so wait, you lost your comic books to the ladies?
Indirectly, I mean, I sold them to buy a car so I could entertain ladies. I mean, obviously, it's kind of hard. But if you're from New York, like I guess you've spent some time there, you could actually date on the subway, right? Like, hey, let's catch the subway to the movies and to a restaurant.
Technically,
here in
but
Detroit, you can't say, hey, let's go date, let's catch the bus to the movies, and I mean that might not even be safe. But yeah, we don't do that here.
Oh, I was driving in New York since I was like 16. So
okay.
Yeah, in New York
driving
City.
in New York is actually a thing. Okay.
It is well, I did it. But you're right. You're right. You're not wrong. A lot of people on public transportation. A lot of New Yorkers can't even drive. Don't have cars. Or even if they do, they have no clue how to drive. But I had to drive, man, because there's a lot of New Yorkers that would wake up in Brooklyn, go to work in Brooklyn, go to sleep in Brooklyn. But I would wake up in Brooklyn, go to work in Manhattan, go hang out with someone in Queens, and then late at night I'm going to like the Bronx or something to go to sleep over there. I just like to move around like that, so I had to have a car, man. I wasn't, I did the public transportation thing all the way up until I didn't have to anymore. So I'm a big LV Louis Cypher says you had a good collection. See, we're getting somewhere. See, with Rick, we have to like investigate. We got to put the bright lights on him.
I mean, if you want to like delve into some like normal people stuff, then yeah, maybe if you take a look at my life before I got into guns, man, when I got robbed, that kind of changed my
Who
whole
was that
focus,
dude?
man.
Who was that dude that got robbed? Who was that dude?
Oh,
Tell us about that dude up until that moment in time. Who was that dude that got jacked in the backyard?
A totally different guy, but I was even married back then at that point in time, and worked in the auto industry. I was a production supervisor. The guy who watches people, and we have this thing, or had this thing, I don't know if they still do it, called the Modern Operating Agreement. This is where, there's this new view on management and employees. You don't have the so-called supervisor. They changed the name and they call them facilitators. The employees, they have this group team process, and they have like 20 team duties, and they divide amongst themselves who's going to do what, and they're going to make sure that everything is accomplished. It's one of those great things that sound great on paper, but when you're trying to like actually manage it and hold people accountable, at some point in time you have to go in someone's face and say you didn't do what you were supposed to do, you're on notice for discipline, and we're going to take it from there. But
yeah,
like
it's corporate gobbledygook kind of a thing.
Yeah. I mean, there's this whole touchy-feely thing about we're going to embrace the team, and the team is going to decide what should be done, and we're going to police ourselves. No, somewhere and someplace in time, somebody has to play the heavy and instill discipline and hold people accountable to make sure that production is met and that you have quality. That is inescapable. But, a lot of times people draw things up on paper and it sounds good, but when it comes to actual practice, it doesn't work out very well. No.
Yeah, someone has to be the bad guy ultimately. Okay.
Someone has to be the heavy, yes.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys this before we get off of the sci-fi thing and I forget about it. Have both of you guys heard of the book Dune? Dune. The sci-fi saga.
Isn't that like 1970s kind of stuff?
Yeah, I'm an old dude. Yeah. I'm from the 70s.
I've heard of it. You
heard of Dune? Did you ever see the movie Dune? They came out with a movie back in the 80s, Dune. Did you guys?
Maybe.
No. No. Okay. Because that's coming. So they're doing a remake of that movie. I think that's going to be pretty. That's going to be.
Oh, right. And now, what's his face is doing a remake of Space Jam, right? Like, okay.
Oh. I saw it once. Yeah. LeBron James, Space Jam. Yeah.
LeBron.
Yeah. I actually saw that movie.
I've seen it. Don't remake it. No, you're not going to make it more interesting, right?
I think so.
Now we're going to have these competitions or these discussions about who made the better Space Jam movie.
So here, let me say this: I saw the original Space Jam movie with Jordan, and I thought it was cool. I've always been a fan of it, but I saw the one with LeBron James, and I'm not a big.
Are you a LeBron fan?
I'm not really. I'm not into sports really, and I'm definitely not a LeBron fan.
Real?
I actually used to when I lived in New York. Huh?
Okay.
No, I was going to say, when I lived in New York, my friends would make me look at Bulls versus Knicks games and stuff like that, and I actually pulled for the Bulls. So,
man, that was an era. That was an era when the Knicks would. There was a couple of years back in the day when y'all actually faced the Pistons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember?
So I used to look at like Patrick Ewing, all those guys.
Yeah.
So and they were in Space Jam, so I liked Space Jam. And I'm not a fan of LeBron James when you talk about stuff that's going on. But actually, I want to say this: that new Space Jam was actually better than the old Space Jam.
Well,
it wasn't perfect.
I don't
it
know
wasn't
because
perfect,
I haven't seen the new one, and I'm not going to see the new one. I mean, and I have a great displeasure with Hollywood wanting to remake everything, man. I mean, some things,
for real,
just can't be messed with. I mean,
yeah. Did you guys ever see the movie Goonies? Do you guys know about that?
In the 80s?
Yeah. That's a classic. That's an American classic. Don't mess with it. Okay, Coming to America. Did you at least see Coming to America with Eddie Murphy?
I saw the original, and I went to actually go see. I saw the remake too.
What did you think about the
remake? It's the long overdue
Part 2
sequel.
Yeah. Did you like it?
It was okay.
No, I hated it. It sucked.
It was okay.
It was terrible.
I mean, it was okay.
Yeah, it was terrible. I don't know if you get into that stuff at all, Patrick.
I actually was avoiding the remake, and then you know what? Finally, it got to the point where I'm like looking and like on TV and going through the paid subscription services that you have, the add-ons, and I was like, let me see it, and I was like, you know what? Okay, fine. I saw it. I'm done with it. It wasn't really all that.
Yeah.
Overly enamored with
it wasn't the best. Eddie Murphy has gotten real bad, man. And I was my whole life, I was a huge fan of Eddie Murphy. At one point, I wanted to be a comedian and to be Eddie Murphy.
Well, I mean, we're talking about Eddie Murphy. You got to, like, divide his career up into, like, different segments. Like that.
For real.
That first Eddie Murphy, when his first few movies.
The Raw.
And Raw and Delirious. You all remember that stuff?
That's American gold.
That's not the Eddie Murphy you get with all these family movies he's doing now. There's totally there's been a whole pathway, a whole journey he's gone.
I'm just happy that Eddie Murphy's not Bill Cosby, unfortunately. I don't know where you guys are at on that, but I was a big fan of I like the Cosby Show, and I still think the Cosby Show was like one of the best um, shows that from like when I was growing up, the Cosby Show.
And then it had the breakout show was the Different World, and that thing
Yeah,
Different
went
world.
on,
yeah,
and
when they went to college. Yeah,
yeah.
Yep.
obviously Cosby's gotten into stuff. Eddie Murphy is, he's a grandfather now. I guess this is what happens to you. You get a bunch of babies. You got a couple of wives. that
Yep.
that life will break you down.
And then you end up being a hypocrite man, what's his name? Gin and Juice. What's my man name?
Oh, you talking about Snoop Dogg?
Snoop Dogg, where you then become a hypocrite talking about people like Megan Thee Stallion and all these other women that talk with their song WAP and all this other stuff, when they totally and conveniently forgot all of that raunchy stuff that they published in their youth. It's kind of
Yeah.
the old.
I didn't know
standard.
Snoop Dogg doesn't like that.
I used to where they used to publish all this filth, flour, and filth, and now that they're old men, they're going to cast aspersions
You
on the
said
young
that's
ladies.
Eddie Murphy words. You just said filth, porn, filth.
No, that was Bill Cosby.
Bill Cosby.
Man.
Bill Cosby.
Was
Yeah.
it Bill Cosby? Or was it Eddie Murphy spoofing Bill Cosby?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. He was like, "You can't say this filth, floor, filth." Yeah, it's weird. I didn't know that. I didn't know Snoop Dogg didn't like he didn't like the WAP stuff or whatever from Megan.
He came out and made some statements that she shouldn't be out here doing this, that, and the other. And I'm like, man, what a hypocrite!
Yeah,
What a hypocrite!
There's a lot of
and
hypocrites.
and you coming from a real hypocritical place when you look at the stuff that he put out in the early days of his career. And I'll be honest, I listened to that stuff. I mean,
It's classic stuff.
People in our people in our generation at that time, we listened to that stuff. But
Yeah.
but I'm not going to cast dispersions on people who are doing this decade's iteration of that stuff. It's out there for particular people that like to listen to it. But, here's the thing. I'm not going to make the argument that because you listen to a particular artist who's publishing stuff on this, that, and the other, whether I think that it's negatively impacting a certain segment of society or contributing to our decay, as a nation or as the things that we should aspire to. I mean, you could just look at it as just music, but I'll tell you, the hip hop that was really in vogue and in style when I was a youngster, like in the 80s. I mean, that stuff is classic, man. KRS-One, Boogie Down Productions.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Man,
Boogie Down Productions. We lost Biz Markie the other day. DMX,
Yeah, we did.
we've lost.
DMX. Yep.
Yeah, it's when I think about it, it's like, man, I came to America and grew up on hip hop, and a lot of those guys, when I look back on it, that was like the golden era, the golden age of
It was.
of hip hop music, which is, I know people don't like it, but it's a uniquely American music, like jazz. Jazz is a uniquely American art form that developed here in America, and I think that hip hop is the only thing that has risen to that level, right? That jazz did, and and I agree with you in what you're saying. It's tough to like knock so for example, what we're doing. There's younger people coming into what we're doing and doing this stuff in a different way and using different platforms and growing and doing things differently. And of course, everyone has the right to talk about it, but at the end, you can't really hate them. It's their world.
Right.
We're the old school dudes.
Things grow and they evolve, and in any space, particularly on the internet, things are going to go through several iterations. There's going to be our version of things, being the older elder statesman, and even I'm starting to see it now in the gun rights space. You got people that have been doing it for a while. But now there are some people who are coming into the fold, this next level generation that
doing
are
it differently. Yeah.
But it's all the same place, and we're all going in the same direction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I'm not gonna knock a guy for running down the beach in dreadlocks and stuff like that. I'm not gonna. Actually, that's what I like about Maj is as an example, is doing things completely differently in his own way and connecting to people. And that's what this is all about. And in a lot of cases, connecting to people that maybe we couldn't, not even just young people, you know, but connecting to different segments of people that we couldn't connect to. And that's really what it's about. Like, you know, things have to evolve and become something else. And ultimately, you have to learn how to, like, always let the young people come along and grow and nurture. It doesn't mean the end of you, but you don't always have to be out in the limelight. That's for the, you know, when I was young and skinny in my heyday, that was my time. Now when I see my sons all skinny and, you know, whatever, I'm like, oh, this is your time now, you know? That's the way it should be.
It's just the natural evolution of things, man.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's good to be able to watch things evolve and watch the transitions. But, you know, there'll come a day when this current era, you know, will be casted aside and there'll be something even different that springs up. But, you know, my thing, man, is that, you know, I'm in this gun rights thing, man. And, you know, I had my own experience, you know, and that forced me to, you know, make changes and evolve. And, you know, I even, you know, made a career out of it, but you know, it's what really drives.
Now you're the old school dude, you know. It's
now I'm the old dude. So, that's cool.
Me too, man. Whenever people tell me, "Oh man, I was watching you since I was in high school," I'm like, "Oh, dude, what is happening?" I'm that old. It's like I remember in hip hop. I remember like the first place I saw music videos was not MTV. It was Ralph McDaniel's Video Music Box. That's and if you don't know what that is, in New York City, that was like cable access TV. And there was this guy named Ralph McDaniels, and he interviewed all these guys before anyone ever heard of them, you know. So like I went to high school with a rapper named Father MC. That's all. He's from the he's from the 80s, and so I kind of grew up in that thing. And I remember looking at Video Music Box, where it was this completely different idea. This guy was just out there making his own show about hip hop and chronicling that even before MTV or BET came along. And it's kind of the way that I feel now when I look at what, you know, that what I'm doing. I'm now the old school guy who's been doing it for a long time and doing some things, not everything, but doing some things that people weren't even thinking about years ago when we started doing this stuff. So, circle of life.
Yeah.
This is how it goes. Yeah, listen, before we run out of time here, I do want to come back to talking about your event. I want to give you and Patrick a chance to talk about this to the folks again, and let people out there know what they can do to help. So, Rick, start off by telling the people about your event, what it's about, when it is, and how people can be involved if there's people who want to, come and participate in it, or if they want to help you out.
Yeah, Legally Armed in Detroit is conducting its 10th annual free firearms training event for women. It is an event in which a group of firearms trainers, literally from now, I can honestly say from all over the country, will be converging on the metropolitan Detroit area to give 4,000 women a free shooting lesson. I created this program 10 years ago when I saw a woman whose body was discarded as an afterthought after she was raped and murdered. I am going to be conducting this event at 2 gun ranges in Metro Detroit, over at Top Gun and at Recoil Gun Range on August 21st through August 22nd. If you'd like more information about these 2 events, you're more than welcome to drop by my social media properties, Rick Ector, RICKECTOR. On Facebook, my address is facebook.com/Detroit CCW. My Rick's Firearm Academy Detroit page on Facebook is facebook.com/Detroit Michigan CCW. You can find me, Detroit CCW, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blogger, and of course I have my own YouTube channel, over 2,300 videos on YouTube myself. I'm out there. Look for me. There's no way you can miss me. If you feel that you have enough desire and compassion to help me train 4,000 women how to shoot a 9mm firearm, please come to Metro Detroit, August 21st through August 22nd. Look forward to meeting you all.
Yeah, absolutely. Lola is sharing some links that folks can use. Let me see. Let me put this back up on the screen again to support or donate to Rick or this event. I think Rick has been doing this for a long time. Been doing it in Detroit and bringing knowledge of the Second Amendment and training and stuff like that to folks in Detroit. And I would definitely ask the folks out there who support me to spend some time supporting him and looking into what he's doing there. Patrick, what would you like to tell us about? I know you're going to be one of the range officers there at this event. What would you like to tell us here as we wrap up?
Well, basically, if you can come out to the event, definitely come out to support it. Rick is a good guy. It's for a great cause. There's thousands of women out there that need training, or thousands of people out there that need training. But in particular, this event is focused for women, and it doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter your experience. It's just a great opportunity to get to meet some of the instructors from all across the country, and I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Okay, thanks. And I know there's some super chats coming in here. Let me get these up here.
Money, 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 money.
Jackie April gave us $5. She says for Detroit.
Is that actually your voice on that?
No, that's Gorillas and Guns. That's his voice. I'm on there laughing. I'm the person you hear laughing. As well as Armament and Axes
Money,
gave
money,
us some money here.
money, money.
Nice.
So that's me laughing right there, and that's Gorillas and Guns. When we collect this, we will send some money over to Rick to help out with everything that's going on here. Lola is also throwing up the Facebook page here. I do want to thank both Patrick Collins as well as Rick Ector. You guys are great guys. I really appreciate everything you guys are doing. I'm going to roll in the end, and then we're going to come back here. So we're not leaving right now. I'm going to roll in the end part of this. We're going to come back, and I'm going to ask Rick to leave us with some words of wisdom. That's like a traditional thing that we do here. So we got to do it on episode 800. As I said before, I really want to thank everyone for supporting us for the years that we've been doing this. We're at 800 episodes now. We've got like 200 more episodes. We're at 1,000. I don't know. I think we're going to hit that sometime early next year. But I really do support all the people who come through here or who look at this later, who listen to this on audio. The audio side of this is growing really fast. We're getting lots of downloads every day, so I appreciate that. And then we got a lot of love coming in here right now. But I really do appreciate these two gentlemen coming in here and supporting the show. Do you guys want to say anything before we go to the end? Anyone has any?
I hate dead space, man. Yeah, okay. I occupied dead space. Yeah.
Okay.
It was indeed an honor and a privilege to be on your show today, man.
Thank you.
I made it for episode 800.
That's
Who
right.
knows?
History.
Maybe on episode 1000, man, we'll talk about how great the event was and, man, how you should have been there. But, hey,
yeah,
that's all right.
Yeah,
there's always next year.
We'll be planning the next one.
Annual free shooting event for women.
Yes.
But yeah, man, it was a blast, man. And in case you happen to go to any other gun rights events, I look forward to bumping into you. It was good running into you at the Florida Carry event down. What was that, back in March?
Yeah, that was in the Villages. Yeah. The Villages.
You now you didn't actually camp. Is there any problem you have with camping per se?
I'm in a camper van. Okay, I did. And Patrick was telling me to come to the camp.
Camper van is not camping.
Oh,
camping.
Here we go now.
Now
you know about camping. Is camping one of those things you do?
There's a difference between a regular tent and that futuristic monstrosity that Patrick blew up. I mean, it was like the blow up tent. I mean, He had like a waterbed in there, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm with Patrick. I'm with Patrick on
crazy dick, man.
that. I'm with Patrick.
I actually had a garage. I had a garage for my truck in the the tent.
Wow. Yeah, maybe next year I'll actually come and camp out with you guys. Patrick was trying to get me to do it, and I didn't. There's a whole bunch of things going on, so I didn't do it. But it was great seeing you guys out there. Patrick, what do you want to say before I run in the end?
Well, it's a pleasure to be on the podcast with you guys. I mean, you two are definitely top-notch characters in the 2A community. I admire you both. So keep up the great work, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys soon. I'll see Rick in a couple of weeks, and I'll probably see you even before I see Rick, and I'll talk to you about that later.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we're going to run in the end. Stay right there. We're going to come back. Rick is going to give us words of wisdom. Let's do this. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining us here with the show. It's been a great show. Really enjoy hanging out with you guys every night. Please hit those subscribe button, thumbs ups, all that. We're going to rip the audio out of this, put it up on iTunes, all your favorite places to listen to audio podcasts. People from around the world, all over America listening to this. Rick, Ector, my man, my mellow, get on the mic and tell us something, drop some words of wisdom on us.
Words of wisdom, man. Let me tell you, one of the things that I'm going to share with your listening audience, I think that it's really important that whoever you are, whatever your background is, that you actually find something that becomes a passion for you. I think that when you look beyond your mere existence and you find a calling to which gives your life meaning, that you will find that it gives you an opportunity to actually make our world a better place, man. And I will say that I found my calling a little later in life, and it became the genesis of firearms instruction. And yeah, it grew out of being a violent crime victim, but out of that, I was able to establish a program that's in its 10th year providing free shooting lessons for women. But I think the bigger point that I'm making is that I found my calling, and I'll tell you, I live a much richer, and I don't mean financially, I mean philosophically, emotionally, I have a richer experience, and I am very proud of the person that I am and the things that I do.
Awesome. That was very well said. I want to thank both of you guys. The world and the gun community is better because both of you guys are in it. I appreciate you coming on the show here. Thanks so much. We're out of here. We'll see you guys next week on Monday. We're out. Peace. You guys stay right there.